Happy Monday, July 6th. This is episode 60 of Slice of Life. That is Billy Harner. My name is Keith Radd, a show born in quarantine, here to entertain. It's a mad world. Good movie, by the way, Bill, out there on social media. But if we can just bring you over to our side for a second, hopefully we'll make you laugh and smile for 3 seconds. Kick it off with my favorite social slice. Bill, Ben Gates from National Treasure, a.k.a. Nicolas Cage, once asked the question, could it really be that simple? In sports, just rolling a ball to hit another ball, is it that simple? Take a look.
Quality of these guys, you wouldn't expect them to miss either, to be honest.
Well, he's very close to splitting the two red balls and getting to the jack. That's what the target is. Oh, look at this. Oh, that is ridiculous. That is just so good. It is ridiculous. What a ball. Oh. That was outrageous.
So this is Nick Brett from the World Indoor Bowls Championship this past winter. I saw this on Twitter over the weekend, and someone said this is the top sports moment of 2020, which with next to nothing to compare it to, I think they're absolutely right. The only way any of us are hitting this shot in bocce is if the backyard slopes and it just dumb luck happens. But I literally was shouting for joy at this guy when the ball made it through.
Yeah, when I first saw this, I thought it was one of those like CGI videos where like they just have the ball like on a track and it does something where that can't be real. Like it was so outrageously ridiculous and so perfect. As a Brooklyn native my whole life, bocce, is a special place in my heart. Back, I think it was 2004, the Cyclones had, our manager was Tony Tiarina, and him and Dave Campanaro, who is the PR guy, and Steve Cohen and Kevin Mahoney. They used to play bocce on the field all the time. They had a trophy. One team was the Seasoned Chickens. The other, I forget what the other team's name was, but they used to play bocce on the field all the time. It was the most Brooklyn thing ever. It was great. For my social slice, my kids, particularly my oldest kid, gets very frustrated when we try new things and he doesn't have success right away. I've been trying to get my son into baseball for as long as he's had words. And when I try to correct his stance or give him some advice, he just shuts down and runs away. And it's frustrating for me. It's frustrating for him. So I saw this video over the weekend of a dad working with his son on some sparring and boxing, and it definitely gave me some hope for the future. So take a look.
Step back. No, we're working on coordination. That's why it's hard. Let's go. What you crying for? Talk to me.
I don't feel confident, son.
Why not? Look at me, son. Why not?
Because I keep having to do it over again.
Over and over again doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It just means you have to practice, son. You haven't done this before. Remember what I said about Einstein? He's on record as being one of the smartest men ever to exist. He says it's not that I'm smarter than anyone, it's just that I stick with problems longer. You understand? All right, get your hands up. Take your time, slow your thoughts down. All right? One target at a time. Zeus. Step back. There you go. Zeus. Step back. Go. Zeus.
Dads, man, there are a lot of good ones out there. This is some like TV show of the week, after school special, whatever you want to say, like just parenting right there. That was just unbelievable to see. And dads need to keep posting this stuff, because for me, it's like watching game film, like you look back and be like, oh, this is what this guy did in this situation. Like it was cool to see. And, then when the ending of the video, when they flash forward 3 years and this guy looks like he's getting ready to take on Floyd Mayweather or something, it was cool to see and definitely motivating, light at the end of the tunnel for me, as every time I sit there and try to get my son to work on his swing and, move your feet this way, and no, your hands have to go all in this way. And I lose my mind. This is sort of light at the end of the tunnel for me.
Yeah, this was great because I saw over the weekend too some 10-year-old baseball camp was like being scouted, and they were talking about some of these kids and their upside. It's like, stop. They're 10. Work with them. Build their confidence. This is the first thing the kid says is, I just don't feel confident in myself. And through boxing, through sports, through trial and error, you need your dad along the way every once in a while to help get you through to the next thing. I mean, my dad was always my little league coach, and every time we'd drive back in the car, and you go for 3 with 3 punchies. It's not a good feeling, but they help you work through those things, and that little by little you make it through. So good find.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing about sports is, not everybody's going to grow up and be Mike Trout or be LeBron James or somebody, but the life lessons you learn from it, like the teamwork and overcoming obstacles and rebounding from failure. I mean, that's the stuff that everybody's going to face every day in their life. So that's the kind of things, especially you see the dad here sort of working his kid through it. So it's great to see.
Chicken Parm Heroes, we go coast to coast. Billy, we'll start with the West Coast first.
So Madison Wilson is a 7-year-old young lady living in Santa Ynez, California. And she had a conversation with her mom that I think a lot of kids are having nowadays, where she asked her parents why in books that she's reading with her mom and books that she sees in school, there are no brown people in the books and they only show peach people. So Madison decided that she was going to change that. She set out with a goal to raise money and purchase the newly announced multicultural crayon packs that Crayola is starting to sell with, I think it's 40 different crayon colors that are supposed to be all the colors of the rainbow, basically, in terms of skin tones. So she decided she was going to raise money to purchase those for her school and some more ethnically diverse books for her school as well. She started off by selling snacks at a local drive-through event. I think on Juneteenth was the day when they started doing it. So she was selling, popcorn and candy and things at these drive-through events with the hope of raising some money. And then her mom started a GoFundMe for her as well, as the story started to gain some traction. And she has now raised enough money to purchase crayon packs and book purchases for different schools for 3 schools in her area. So this is a 7-year-old girl that saw something, said, why is it this way? It shouldn't be this way. And she went and changed it. So great job by her. And I keep saying it, you see all these stories about kids. Just, you have hope. You have hope. You see all these people on Twitter and Facebook going nuts about silly things. And then you see a 7-year-old girl that just sort of gets it. And you wonder why the kids aren't the ones in charge when they seem to just really have their heads wrapped around the right conversations.
Yeah, I mean, I feel guilty about the lemonade stand I had because I wanted to buy a Game Boy Color. And this Madison Wilson is putting all of us to shame, using her powers for good. That's amazing to get going at 7 years old. We've seen a lot of young kids, and the list goes on and on for all the kids under probably 8 or 9 on this show that have just crushed it. So you don't see it every day, right? The future is bright. It's not on mainstream TV, and now we try to bring it to the forefront. But good for you, Madison, in California.
For every Karen you see on Twitter where it makes you scratch your head, there's a Madison that makes you see the bright side.
We hope. From one coast to another, Nassau County, the county coming up clutch. This weekend, 4,000 families were able to pick up food from the Nassau Coliseum. The county pledged $1 million in partnership with a group called Island Harvest to make it happen. It's the largest one-off food distribution day in the history of the county. I mean, there's a lot of families that are out of work right now. I know what the phases were coming back in. A lot of people that still can't get to work. Their kids are still home, so they have to stay home. They can't get paid. I know that the CARES Act, extra $600 a week that people have been counting on, that's running out at the end of July. So people need food. They're in dire straits, and this is a step up. Nassau Coliseum has always been a great location. It's almost the center of the island. They gave out 100,000 pounds of food, vegetables, non-perishable items to people who really need it. You see companies doing great things, and this time you see the county get together with a company to $1 million for food is great. So props to the East Coast for showing up during Chicken Farm Heroes.
Yeah, for me personally, I'm out here on Long Island, so I saw this story, and obviously it hits close to home because it's 10 minutes away from where I live, and you don't I don't realize that there's this much need where I am, so it was great to see this, and that the county's doing something, but it was also sort of sad to see that there is this much demand, but and on the positive side of things, it was great to see that the county and then these businesses are coming together to make sure that demand gets met.
Time for sports. Billy, baseball is back despite the fact that pitchers are dodging line drives back to their heads and other pitchers are bowing out left and right. Baseball is back.
Yeah, so baseball is back, sort of. Summer camp, as it has been dubbed by Major League Baseball, thanks to a partnership with Camping World, started over the weekend. Most teams got started Friday. Some teams, I'm looking at you, Oakland A's, haven't gotten started yet because of some hiccups in the testing. But a lot of teams have gotten together. They've been on the field. Cespedes was back hitting home runs. So as a Mets fan, that got me excited. Jacob deGrom was on the mound. So that's starting to get ready. Just can't wait for it. But a lot of these guys have been doing interviews and talking about the hardest part for them has been they had to make the decision, whether they're, Zach Wheeler has a pregnant wife, Mike Trout has a pregnant wife. So they have been separating themselves from their families. Wilson Ramos of the Mets was one of the guys who said that he had to make a decision where he thought it was best for his family to stay at home and he was going to come to New York on their own. And he's not alone. There's a lot of Major League Baseball players that are in that same situation where they're not going to be with their families this summer just because of the pandemic, and they thought it was safer for them to stay in their familiar surroundings. So in Milwaukee, they did a great thing with manager Craig Counsell on one of their first workouts over the weekend. He put together a Zoom call with all of the players' families, their wives, their kids, their moms, their dads, their significant others, whoever it may be, and put them up on the video board at Miller Park while they were taking BP and working out on the field. So the guys could see their families and sort of remind themselves why they're doing this and who they're doing it for. And even though they're not together physically, they're still all in this together. So it was a great thing to see just visually from the Brewers. And another one of my favorite things over the weekend in Boston, the Red Sox. I know you don't like the Red Sox, Keith. That's all right. But they have obviously an older facility, so they don't have as much space as a lot of these other teams. So they've put the players' lockers in luxury suites throughout the ballpark, where they have two guys doubled up and physically move their lockers from downstairs upstairs, and the doors have panels with the names of the guys that are sharing it inside. So older facilities, older ballparks, they needed to find ways to socially distance and make it safe for everybody. So they have batting cages on the concourse right next to the men's room. They have luxury suites with locker rooms, and the Yankees are, I think, putting pitching mounds in their great grand hall or whatever they call the main entrance there. So you got to do what you got to do when you got 60 guys playing on a field, or there's usually only 25 of them. So it's been interesting to see so far, but survive and advance, as Jimmy V said, just find ways to get it done.
Yeah, I saw the Craig Counsell thing in Milwaukee, and I saw it, and I saved it on Instagram. I go, this is going to be great for Monday. I got a great story, and I show up, and the early bird gets the worm. Bill had it first, so that's a good find. So I love that. And then the cool thing is that, even though it's a bit of a tumultuous start as far as testing, and some players saying that they're going to opt out, which, again, we respect their decision. It's a weird time. The coolest part about all this is that tonight, 6 o'clock, MLB Network, the schedule is going to be revealed. And we've talked about this a little bit on the show, that I think this could be one of the coolest years as far as rivalries go and local rivalries go. You just don't get it as much in baseball like you do in college football or college basketball, those conference rivalries or the local rivalries that happen. Of course, you have your division rivals, but I'm looking for Yankees Mets a little bit more. And I hope we get that tonight. I don't know if you've gotten any email blast lists of early releases, but I am pumped for 6 o'clock tonight to see in 60 games how much drama we can jam pack into this thing, because it does feel a little bit weird to kind of like wake up and play baseball in the middle of the summer and not have the seasonal feeling of kind of working our way into it. We're just jumping into it. So I'm looking forward to this tonight.
Yeah, I think Mets Braves opening day. I think that's the story for them, and I'm excited. The Mets and the Red Sox are guys going to play this year, and that's not a thing you see every year. And I had a great experience when the last time the Mets played the Red Sox up in Fenway. I went up with a bunch of my buddies, and it was Omir Santos hit a big home run, and Gary Sheffield hit a home run, and the Mets took 2 out of 3, and the Mets were really bad that year, and it was fun. But just being in Fenway and being around the area back when things were normal, and had a very long, in-depth conversation with some Red Sox fans about where the Mets and the Red Sox are basically cousins because they have the same enemy in the Yankees. So everybody was very friendly. It was a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to some of those again. And, there's some great ballparks in the American League East that the Mets haven't gotten to play in a while, like Camden Yards and the Skydome up in Toronto, and then Fenway, obviously. So they maybe play Tampa too. I don't know if that's necessarily on the same level as Fenway and Camden Yards, but it'll be interesting. And, it'll be starting before you know it. That's, usually spring training is like a 6-week, month-and-a-half ramp up. This is, hey, it started on Friday, and 2.5 weeks, here we go. Let's play some baseball. So let's still hope everybody stays safe. Let's hope everybody stays healthy, and, that we can get going.
Let's do it. All right, Bill, we'll see you tomorrow.
Have a great day, everybody.